Yeah, from this man Shakespeare, he says that it's ugly like a toad, but it's like a jewel, a crown jewel on the head. And then we hear another person, it says that we should consider trials an opportunity for great joy. And it doesn't make any sense because trials are hard. So how can we turn that very difficult narrative into a pleasant narrative? It says first you have to consider it as pure joy. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because while I was, after receiving that message today, I was just thinking in the bathroom. I began to just ponder, within myself, just talk to myself, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to have this conversation. In fact, I said, I have a meeting. Since I have a meeting, let me have this conversation later because I feel like it will affect my communication here. But I'm a human being. So when he came back, I'm like, see, babe, I thought you said that. I was the first person to actually now say, I'm not happy with you, that kind of thing. But when we consider crises and challenges and situations as opportunity for great joy, and we believe that it tests our endurance, and I'll define endurance for you. We use a lot of words, but we do not remember what they mean. I will define endurance for you because when someone says this to you, it's almost surreal. But when we define endurance, you can understand why the person will say adversity might build your endurance. So it says, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come, consider it an opportunity for great joy. Why? It says, for when you are tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. Your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you'll be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So we can all agree that there are challenges in this life, that you don't know where they come from, but they will always come. Is it not also now okay for us to agree that we need something like a buffer always for that crisis? And what he's proposing here is endurance. He said you are able to walk through that crisis because you have something called endurance. And if you look at the situation differently, a little differently, not like a crisis, not like a heightened situation, but as an opportunity for your endurance to grow, you can look at that situation as joyous, even when you are in the crisis. Very, very completely, So it says, let it grow, because one challenge grows you, another challenge grows you, so when you let it grow, you are able to be complete, needing nothing. And another person agrees with another person. One great writer in the apostolic times, he agrees with this principle. He says, endurance builds character, which gives us a hope that will never disappoint us. Endurance builds character, which gives us a hope that will never disappoint us. So I went ahead, I'm like, this endurance people are talking about, what is even this endurance? It says, endurance is the ability to endure an unpleasant and difficult process or situation without giving way. So it's your ability to withstand wear or tear. You are not going to ever be able to predict how problems are going to come. You won't. You can't. You want to, but you can't. Even if you arrange everything nice and neat, you just find that you're in one challenge, a big one, another small one. You're trying to figure out one, another one is coming. But if we begin to live our lives from the perspective of, I'm in one mess, I'm in another mess, we wither. But if we can count it all joy, you're like, okay, this situation exists, okay. I'm not going to be rattled, I'm taking 2 steps back. I have the ability to endure. When you're telling yourself, I have the ability to endure. And then, from that place of patience, from that place of endurance, then you can now look at the problem and see if you can even solve it. Because being worried about the problem does not make the problem go away. So, I realized that the most important thing for problem solving is building character. So when I saw that they were talking about endurance, being patient, counting it all joy, using it as an opportunity, I realized that the greatest thing a person can do for themselves is to build character. That if you can build yourself, your person, into someone that is able to withstand, is able to be patient, able to see things as opportunities for your growth, then when challenges come, you are not as rattled. Because I know a lot of people that say they go in circles of, they say they go in circles of, like, why is it only me it happens to? If you can change your thought process and understand that you have the capacity to take 2 steps back in patient endurance, then you can, from that endurance, now begin, there are some stages I will begin to speak to you about, now begin to solve the problem. But first, we have to understand that when a problem meets us, it has to meet us at endurance. It has to meet us at a place where we are determined and we are able to take it. We are able to first endure. We are able to say, you know what, I can take this thing on. Because most times, the reason why we rattle is, I cannot do it. I can't do it. Like, this is just big. Do you know you've not sat down to think about the problem? You're already upset. It's just big. You're already crying. It's big. But if you think to yourself that I have the capacity to handle this, then you're like, okay, you know what? It's just another opportunity. I can do this. I can figure out, okay, where do I start from? So your heart posture has changed. Your body posture has changed. You can now gather yourself up from that place of, depression. Gather yourself from that place of pain and say, you know what? I can live another day. Because it takes first a determination before you can even begin to solve the problem. Someone broke up with you. It hurts because we're humans. But don't get me wrong. The emotions of problems exist. The emotion of the problem. It must pain you. It's problem. It must pain you, like it must hurt. The emotions, your emotions are real. They are real. They are not, they are true. They are real. But can we allow our emotions govern us? Every time you have allowed your emotion govern you, where did you end? It's almost like you're just going down, down, down. You're just going back. Yes, they are real. Like, I understand, I feel this way. It exists. But I'm not my feeling. Someone just stole my bag. Oh my God, everything I own in this life is inside that bag. It's there. It's inside that bag. But if you cannot gather yourself and say, you know what? What's next? Oh, can you help me call the police? Can you help me? Okay. Oh, someone just stole my bag. If you cannot react to the problem in a way, in a posture, you will not be able to begin to solve it. There has to be a point where a problem meets you. And that point, we've heard from a few people today, that point is endurance. That through a process of strife and of pain, you can still experience some level of joy. If you change your thought process, if you change how you are seeing the situation. Because challenges will occur. And we'll see some reasons why they occur. Diversity, we're different people with different goals. So definitely challenges will come. Yes, so you could see a challenge as unsolvable and unovercomable, yet we know that anything is possible if a person chooses to believe. The distance between you and you beginning to solve those problems in your life is your belief. If you believe, you can. If you believe, you can begin to journey to solving those problems. So, I was speaking to you about character. Yeah. So I was speaking to you about character. And I told you that a person you might have an educational training. Because what we think helps us solve problems usually are our trainings and our education. And our education and our training, they are hard skills. We all have the same if our trainings and educations were supposed to help us solve problems daily, we would not have problems. Because I went to school, I studied law. You probably studied something or you're studying something. So if my education was supposed to help me solve the issue I was having with my spouse today, the problem would not exist. So we find that it's not actually your education that helps you solve a problem. It's actually your character. Like we said, what you have built in yourself is what is able to resist the pressures, not necessarily your schooling. You see people, they go to the highest, beautiful schools, but you speak to them and they are shallow in thought. They are not empathetic. They have low morals. They have worldviews that are just out of this world, but they are well studied. So problem solving cannot be fully accessed if we just think it only relies on our training. For you to become a problem solver, not just at work, but in your life, in your daily life, for you to be that person that is able to triumph and overcome situations, you have to build your character. And one of the ways we said we'll build character, we said endurance, patient endurance. So you can either solve a problem or take on the challenge courageously using the right means, or you can cut corners, you can abandon ship, you can cower away from responsibilities of everyday challenges. I think that's what some of us do. We cower away from responsibility. If you had a good relationship with someone, the relationship was undefined, that relationship produced a child, and somehow the problem and the responsibility of that relationship suddenly is not your own. You come up with the person, you take the responsibility of buying the person some pizza, some ice cream, you take the person to a movie. Now the person is pregnant, and your response to that problem is to run away. So sometimes we don't take the responsibility for the problems we have. A problem you don't take responsibility for, it's not going to run away. It's going to be with you forever. You don't stop being a father to that child, a mother to that child, because you walked away. It's a problem you are keeping for 30 years. The problem will grow up and come and meet you in your house and say, hello, I'm your son. And then you say, oh, what did I do? And I have a wife now, and I have a child now. Don't come and disrupt my new home. I'm a changed person now. There were other ways you could have dealt with that problem at that time that will make that the problem doesn't come to you eventually and bite you. So, problem solving is the true test of your values and your character. It actually tests you. You don't know what you believe until your belief is tested, Like you can say, I'm a diligent person, or I'm a very trustworthy person. And then you enter a problem. Wait first, I'm coming. And then you walk away. It's when we are able to, it's who you are under pressure that you are. That's who you are. It means that you have to build your stability under pressure. It's gonna come. In different ways, you're gonna make mistakes. But it's not the mistake that matters, it's how you solve the problems that matter. There's always a way. Fine, you are not working when you begin to have that relationship that birthed a child. And you can't, and it's true. I can see that you can't take care of the child, it's true. But not being able to take care of the child does not mean that you cannot be a part of that child's life. There are different ways to solve the problem. But the first one has to be responsibility. It means that in problem solving, we consistently need to build our character. We build our endurance, we build our responsibility. So that we're not cowering away from our responsibilities and our mistakes. We're able to solve them and move on. The reason why I can look back and I don't have anything chasing me is that by the grace of God, I have been able to solve the things that... So I tell people, I'm like, you're not the first to do that. We went to school too. All of us went to school. This boyfriend that they used to have. We too, we had the boyfriend. It's not like, it's by the grace. It's not, we've made mistakes. The reason why we are standing is not because we didn't make mistakes. It's because when we saw that we made a mistake, we were able to accept responsibility and say, I don't want to be this person. And I had to make that decision a long time ago. I don't want to be this person. A long time ago, I don't want to be defined by how I look. I don't want to be defined by I don't want to be defined by what I have. I want to be defined by my true character, who I am. And then I began to journey to discovering who that person is. Who is this person? And then because I was able to journey into understanding who I am, I'm able to now teach it in colors of hope. I'm able to say, okay, who are you? What do you believe in? What makes you strong? What makes you thick? Did you just fall from the tree? Because I've realized that the best way, and I'll speak about this, the best way to understand a thing is to go to its history. Why were you even made? Because when you feel purposeless, there's no... Man was not made to wake up in the morning without a purpose. Every time you wake up in the morning and you have a job to go to, you feel something good. You feel something good. Everything, and you have a set plan. You feel something good. But every time you lose your job, you lose the patterns and the systems of your life, it doesn't feel good anymore. So it's so beautiful when we can actually say, you know what, I'm not my past mistakes. I want to journey into this person I can really become. Who do I want to become in this world? Why was I even made? Why was I made? So while we may all have the same training, knowledge, and education, what we make out of our life experiences define who we really become. They define who we become distinctively and morally, and they define how we solve problems. Who we become out of our experiences will now define how we solve problems. So, I've given you an overview of problem solving. I've grouped problem solving, as I know it, like I said to you, into two: wisdom and understanding. There are a lot to discuss in this topic, but I don't have a lot of time, so we're just going to take it a bit. So let's just recap a bit. We said we can solve our problems, that we don't need to run away from our responsibilities. We also agreed that we are not our mistakes. We also agreed that we can count it all joy when we're in problems. We also agreed that we have endurance and we can stay through our problems. We've agreed on all these things. So that's how we are here now. All right. So, wisdom and understanding. I realized that every other thing falls under this. I realized every other thing falls underneath this. You know, how do we pursue our lives? A wise king once said, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all thy getting, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all your getting, get understanding. So he just stood and he was speaking to his sons. He was actually speaking to his sons. My son, he was speaking to his sons. And he says, wisdom is the principal thing. In all you get wisdom. And get understanding. So what you need is a principal thing. A man was speaking to his sons and telling them how to really live this life. And he says, get wisdom. If you get wisdom, it will be good for you. And in all you're getting, get understanding. So, why is wisdom the principal thing? Why is understanding to be gotten in everything else we get? It's saying in all you're getting. It's not saying not get any other thing. Say if you like, get house or get car, but in all you're getting, this wisdom in everything is very important for you to get. To solve any problem, the reason why you need understanding is that to solve any problem, you have to understand the problem. So when we've arrived at that place where we can stand, the next step is how to solve the problem. When the problem meets you, and at least you are still standing because you have endurance, the next step is how to solve the problem. And if you can understand the problem, you can begin to solve it. Understanding in this context refers to intelligence, knowledge, experience, and promptings within ourselves. I'll go again. Understanding in this context refers to intelligence, knowledge, experience, and promptings within ourselves. I'm going to use the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It defines understanding as getting a mental grasp or the power of comprehension. Getting a mental grasp of a thing. Getting an understanding. I've realized that when you understand a thing, even if you don't take a journey to solving it, half of your problem is solved. When you can understand a thing, for instance, if you can understand why a person is shouting, the shouting will not matter anymore. So you realize that it wasn't the shouting that was your problem, it's why are you shouting? If you can understand the reason why the person that lives in your house. Maybe you rented your house out. The person lives in your house, but the person keeps coming at 10 o'clock. And you don't like that kind of thing. You want your doors to be shut at 8. The person keeps coming at 10. Because of that, you have conflict. Then the person tells you, the job I do, they won't let me leave till 9:30. And every day, I make an effort to come here at 10. So you see that the person is making so much of an effort to actually arrive at 10. And you are upset that they are coming by 10 because you want your door locked by 8. But when you begin to understand that this person is making all the effort within the capacity of what they know how, then you can now say, oh, okay, the situation didn't change, but you got an understanding. So it's so important to have an understanding. What causes conflict between persons, what causes worry and anxiety is when we don't understand. We find that when we are able to comprehend the facts, when we are able to now take actions to solve that problem. Now, 2 ways to get understanding: current facts and history. 2 ways to get understanding: current facts and history. To have an understanding of things. For instance, your neighbor, every morning they wake, you hear some loud music, or you see them wearing a particular, you might see them wearing a particular headband or something that you don't really understand. And then you ask the person, where are you from? And the person says, oh, I'm from this place, this. And where I come from, we wear this headband, we wear this handband, we wear this outfit. The outfit looks very ridiculous to the normal person, but the person is wearing that outfit because of their history. When we have spouses in the same place, the reason why we have a lot of divorce rates is lack of understanding. 2 people come from such diverse, when these 2 people come together, they come from diverse environments. Diverse. In fact, I'm from the same exact place with my spouse. A place in Nigeria called Delta State. We're from the same tribe, Urobo. But when we were about to get married, I realized that though we were from the same state and we're from the same tribe, we had different upbringing. So you find that the reason why you get in conflicts a lot is that you are unable to have an understanding of a thing's history. Sometimes when you understand the thing's history, you can appreciate the thing, you can begin to understand the thing. So if your spouse comes from a space and you come from another space, you understand that they were built in such in a way. If your classmate comes from a place and you come from another place, you understand that that's what they know. And in trying to even positively change a person, if you start from the place that is what they know, that is what, as much as you know what you know, that is the same extent they know what they know. You have lived perhaps 25 years in your life and you are sure of what you know. This other person has lived 23 years in their life and they are sure of what they know too. So you are saying their own is wrong. Before you can at least, even if you want to bring a positive change, even if we agree that, for instance, theirs is wrong, for you to be able to tell them, to bring them to the understanding that they need, you need to first understand where they have been, what they know, how they think, how that situation is, before you can now bring them to that place you are trying to take them. Because to solve the problem forward, you most likely always have to go backwards to have an understanding. Why is the charger not working properly? It's a problem. Why is the charger not working properly? Perhaps it's where I bought it. Perhaps it was how they made it. Perhaps I bought the cheap one. You know, because if you don't have another, you are angry. You know, you get too worked up. You can't even have joy in your life because you're questioning everything. You're not taking out that patient endurance to understand situations, understand the small things around you. You don't take out time to understand. That is upset. Now the upset is, and the funny thing about it is, you are living in your own body. Now you're upset. Like, you know, your body is like a house. Now your house, fire is in your house. You are there with your house. Only you. Only you by yourself, you are on fire. This is our life, this is our body, this is our, this is our journey. We have to make it palatable for you to live in. Like, nobody is going to, you are living there with yourself. And you are always consistently bringing up conflicts because of lack of understanding, because of that lack of mentally grasping things around you. First, realize, like we said, that you are able to take what is coming. Whatever it is, the charger spoiled, no wahala, you have 2 minutes to the event. No problem. Why did the charger spoil? The charger spoiled because of this. Okay, it means that I cannot get a charger from here anymore. Maybe I need to try the other place. Okay, so as you are pondering on those thoughts, you will start to have a direction and you will feel a bit of an ease. So instead of the problem to look like a problem, solution is coming. Like, so instead of you to just stay in that problem and just wallow, some of us love to talk about our problems. You just call your friend. Have you watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I don't know if it's a general show, but there's a show in Nigeria, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. When you are doing the show, they will say you should call your friend so that the friend will tell you an answer. Like you have that option to call a friend. You understand? We love to call a friend. You just call, do you know that my charger you will go and fix? Instead of you to take that charger and go and fix it. Do you know my charger just spoiled? I'm sure that it's Jennifer that spoiled it. I saw Jennifer's leg. She was passing there. You're not trying to solve that conflict. You're not. You're really not. You're aggravating it. And it seems sweet. It always seems very nice. It's very, very sweet. Until you've gone in circles and circles and circles and circles. You've exhausted everybody to talk to. And your charger is still existing. And it's spoiled. Now the phone you were using to call the people, the phone has died. No charger. But you could have gone to get that charger. You live in this. When you want something, you want a meal, you want a food, when you want something, when you desire it, you find that you are able to go for what you want. When you want something, when you truly want, when you want to watch a movie, you come from work, you come from school, you want to watch a movie, you are able to control yourself. You take your hand, you put your hand on the remote, you turn on the TV, you relax yourself. You are able to control yourself. So why do you think that when something happens, a situation occurs, you can't control yourself? It's first in our mind. It's first in your mind. You are able to do. For instance, you like a course. Because you like the course, you are able to pass it. So, can't you see the problem there? I said because you like the course, you are able to pass it. So why are you failing the other course? Because you don't like it. Abi, what is the solution to your problem? You will start moving to liking it. Yes, you will journey to liking it. You will tell yourself, you know what, this course is not hard. It's not so hard. You start to look for people that can teach you this course for you to enjoy it as much. It might never get to 100, but you can make the effort to at least passing that course and leaving that space. You can always solve your problem if you can let your problem meet you at endurance and not giving up. When your problems meet you at giving up, the problem has already finished before it began. In fact, you doubled it. But when it meets you at endurance, it meets you at character, it meets you at responsibility. Because some of us think that the only reason why we go to school is our parents. We've not begun to see our life in the sense that what do I want from this world? So you think that I'm not able to take that responsibility. You can take the responsibility for the ice cream you drink. You can take responsibility for the food you eat, the movies you watch. But you see that your academics, your parents that you are going to school for. It always feels like the things that progress you, somebody else you are doing it for. Everything you build in yourself, when you build patience, when you build character, when you build responsibility, it's for you. You live, remember, it's your house. I'm not even living in your house with you. I'm encouraging you to have better for yourself. I'm encouraging you to want better for yourself. But I don't live there with you. I can help you. I want to impact you. I want to encourage you. I want to tell you, you know what, you can do better. But I don't live in the house with you. At least the place you are living in, you want it clean. You want it a bit comfortable. You want it livable. And if you want it livable, you want it clean, you have to take some responsibility. You have to take some responsibility to starting to understand things, starting to take time out to understand the history, the process of things. So I said here, when we look to things, when we look at a thing's history, a thing's making, a thing's purpose, a thing's origin, we can begin to understand the situation, we can begin to understand the events, we can be able to understand our challenges. And so we'll go to the next one. We've spoken about understanding, getting that understanding. And we're going to speak about wisdom. So while understanding is that mental grasping of the event, wisdom on the contrary takes you on that journey to solving the problem. So when you grasp an understanding, when you have an understanding of the problem, you can solve it by solving it wisely. So you know that the charger got bad because you bought it from a bad place. You now have the wisdom for your next buy. So the next time you buy something, you won't buy it from that place anymore. You can make good judgments and good decisions because you are wiser. And you are wiser, why? Because you have an understanding. So wisdom, we are told, is very profitable to direct us. Wisdom is profitable to direct us. Once we have understanding, we now have the wisdom to be able to make that good decision, good judgment. We can have good guidance. And so I'm just going to read a story. Jennifer has told me that the time is almost up. So I'm just going to read. I'm going to read a story very quickly and we'll conclude there. I was looking for a good story to tell, because I believe that because I believe that stories help these things sink in very well. So I'm going to just, tell this story and then we'll take it from there. There was this king that was faced with a very tough decision where he had to come to understanding of that situation for him to be able to solve that problem. It says, one day, 2 women came to this king called Solomon. And one of them said, Your Majesty, this baby I live in the same house. Your Majesty, this woman and I live in the same house. And not long ago, my baby was born at home. And 3 days later, her baby was born. Nobody else was with us. So 2 of them had children. One had a child. 3 days later, the other one had a child. One night while we were all asleep, she rolled over her baby and he died. Then while I was asleep, she took my son out of my bed and put him in her bed. And then she put the dead baby next to him. So they both had children, 3 days away from each other. So one is accusing the other one that the other one rolled on her baby and took that baby and put it on the other one's bed. So she stole the alive baby. So one is giving the accusation to the king. In the morning, when I went to feed my son, I saw that he was dead. But when I looked at him in the light, I knew he wasn't my son. No, the other woman shouted, He is your son, my baby is alive. The dead baby is yours. The woman yelled, Mine is alive. So an argument ensued before this king, Solomon. Until finally, he said, Both of you say this live baby is yours. Somebody bring me a sword. And a sword was brought to the king. And the king said, Cut the baby in half. That way, each of you can have a part of him. Is that not a good? It's really nice because, they were arguing in front of him. And the sword was brought, and Solomon ordered, Cut the baby in half, the way each of you can have a part of him. Please don't kill my son, the baby's mother screamed. Your Majesty, I love him very much, but give it to her, don't kill him. The older woman said, Go ahead and cut him in half. Then neither of us will have a baby. So the mother of the son said, Please don't kill him. No wahala, no problem. Take this son and give it to the other woman. And then the other one said, No, kill him. At least if he dies, now none of us will have children. And so, it's a very wonderful story. And so the other woman shouted. Then the king replied them. He says, don't kill the baby. Then he pointed to the first woman, which was the real mother, who had said they should not kill her son. And he says, give the baby to her. So this wise king was able to take, it was a dire situation. It was a situation that required an understanding. It was a situation that required discernment. It was a situation that required mental grasp before he was able to make that wisdom decision. So we said understanding gives us that mental grasp. Then we are able to, with the understanding, make wise decisions. So they call this king a wise king because of this issue. And so the reason why he was wise was because he was able to discern the woman to give the baby to. So in that situation, one, we noticed something important. He wasn't rattled. Was he rattled? They brought the decision to him. He didn't say, what kind of problem is this? I've never heard about this problem before. Such a big problem. The problem is so large. No, he wasn't rattled. The problem met him at endurance. The problem met him at peace and patience. He listened. There was some communication. He heard about the history of these women. He gathered the facts to have an understanding. And so when he gathered the facts, he was not able to say, you know what? The mother of this child would not want this child killed. So if I say they should kill this child, the mother would arrive. But if he was lacking in peace, if he was lacking in patience, if he was a hasty king, if he was a wicked king without character, without moral, he would have said, kill the baby and beg, let us rest. He was king, he was Lord, he could have said anything. But he was patient to look at the situation and then patient enough to give good wisdom. So kill the child and let us see. Kill that child and let us see. And everyone in Israel was amazed when they heard how this king made his decision. They realized that God had given him wisdom to judge fairly. I realized in my journey, my friends and my brothers and sisters, and I'm done. I realized in my journey that when we come into small crisis, we're able to maneuver, we're able to take it. But sometimes, depending on the gravity of the situation, we have to check within ourselves and call out this wisdom from within ourselves. Scripture says that the wisdom of man, that our wisdom, the wisdom that man has, is not able. It's not as great. It's, in fact, it's foolishness before the one who made us. There's a person that made us, and the wisdom that we have often is not wise enough for that person that made us. So sometimes when we find ourselves in these trying situations, when we seek understanding, when we seek wisdom, we can look within ourselves. We can look within our character. We can look within our responsibility. We can look within our patience. And we can also look within and look to the one who created us. And he can give us that ultimate wisdom, which is wiser than the wisdom that man has. All right. Thank you very much.